interception to Wilson's 3 and drove his team to 13 straight points to ultimately tie and then win the game. The only time Arizona led was the dramatic game-winning field goal in overtime. Steve, it's rare for Wilson to throw multiple interceptions in a game. He was really critical of his play after the game. Do you think he was almost too hard on himself?
He knows that he didn't play as well as he should, but he also knows that the thing that was unusual is that in overtime, with the game on the line, that's the one he wants back, and that's the one that's going to haunt him the most. Now, look, I'm not worried about the Seahawks. If you think that you're going to bet on the Seahawks and Russell Wilson throwing 3 picks and then especially at the end of a game to go lose it, that's not going to make you much money, and I'm not worried about that. The most exciting thing for me last night was watching the future, the present and the future of the position. 2 guys, 5'10" and 5'8", dominating the field. I mean, Susie, just think about my heart was the whole day. It's like, this is what the future of football is. I'm loving it.
Well, it's true. Randy, I mean, how seriously should we all be taking the Cardinals?
You got to take the Cardinals serious. There's one point yesterday that I thought, and it was not on the field, Susie. I think they had a 3 receivers stacked on one side, and Kyler Murray tried to throw a quick screen out to the wide receiver. The 2 guys did not block. You see the bite him over there pounding to his hand. He's talking to his offense. And we was like, get back to the camera. We want to see what he's saying. That right there was a moment for me that I haven't seen in 2 years span of Kyler Murray demanding his team, let's play some football. We're into this game. For him to be able to run 14 rushes for 67, 7 of those plays designed. Coach Kingsbury talked about his offense is something to be reckoned with DeAndre Hopkins out there. They called him the little road runner, whatever he is. He's a problem for the whole National Football League, Susie.
And they've also talked about just the leadership and how he's really been growing into that. And you can really see that. That's a great example of that.
Well, and I love what he's doing, how he's leading that team. You got a veteran receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. They're using him the right way. Everybody seems happy. When you get a number 1 receiver, it's amazing how the quarterback can start to mature. We were hoping that would be the same way in Cleveland with Baker and OBJ, but it's nice to see it actually in Arizona.
Hey, can we talk about the Cardinals' defense?
Let's do it.
It seemed like they confused Russell Wilson.
And Steve will appreciate this because there's not too many things that Russell Wilson hasn't seen. Like, he's seen it all. He's up for the MVP, should win the MVP if we were to vote today. But as a defensive coordinator, you can disguise things. And I thought Vance Joseph did an outstanding job last night. Here you're going to see him walk 7 up. Seattle only has 6 to protect. Number 31, DJ Dallas, picks the wrong one. We're playing man coverage on the back end. Arizona's bringing 1 more than Seattle can block, forces Russell Wilson to an incompletion. Here, it's 7-on-7. But Russell Wilson in the center slide the line of scrimmage to the wrong side, and now you can have a nickelback coming on the outside. He's an unblocked defender. We're playing 3 deep, 4 under zone behind, chalk one up in the win column for Vance Joseph, fooling Russell Wilson. And on the game winner 3rd and 14, very similar situation. We're going to show all-out blitz, but we're going to drop back and play zone coverage.
Book, let me get in here for a minute, man. I seen this play last night. The 8th overall pick of this year's draft, Isaiah Simmons, boy, I see you. I don't know where you've been, but defensive coordinator Vance Joseph, that young man is an athlete. Try to find ways to get him on the field. They was able to confuse Russell Wilson with that. They were able to jab out late. Rookie. A big play against Russell Wilson, that was big for his confidence.
Yeah. And let me just wrap it up by saying, I know we've talked an awful lot about Kyler Murray, and I know we've talked an awful lot about DK Metcalf catching Budda Baker on that interception return. But Budda Baker might be the most underrated player in all of football. And when you talk to the people in that organization, how much they love him and how much he means to that team and how much he, the player, loves the sport. They say they've never seen anybody love playing football the way that Budda Baker loves playing football. That guy is a force out there. And when you watch him, he's a little bit like Ray Lewis back in the day, running around, making plays all over the field. He's everywhere all the time, and he's a force.
And when you talk about guys this year that are up for Defensive Player of the Year, it stops and starts with Aaron Donald. Myles Garrett is having an outstanding year. T.J. Watt, and then you got to put Budda Baker in that same category. Guys that are dominating their position above and beyond what the defense calls for.
You know what Vance Joseph said that separates him? That on the field, and I'm not just talking about just speed, running speed, game speed.
Yes.
That he is the fastest player he's ever seen react on the field.
Except when he's returning an interception and DK Metcalf is chasing him.
I mean, DK Metcalf.
I'm not talking about game speed, just reaction speed. Gosh, give him a break. Right.
He got walked down. Like, you can't just get walked down, Susie. He got walked down.
Man, by the Incredible Hulk, he'll take it. No, he'll take it, boy.
But you got walked down.
That's the Incredible Hulk,
By the
man.
Incredible Hulk. Yeah, give credit where credit is due here. We are live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. So great to be here, bringing you Monday Night Countdown. And in Southern California, they're getting set for Monday Night Football. Lots of critiques about that Bears offense and Nick Foles, but he insists rather win ugly than lose pretty. From the fantasy football perspective, we welcome Matthew Berry, who has this week's Good Calls, brought to you by Subway. A fight, and Big Ben threw 3 interceptions as the Titans had a chance to kick a field goal in the final seconds to tie, but missed it. And elsewhere, winter came early in Denver, but the snow and the Broncos were no match for the Chiefs. With Showtime Mahomes under pressure, the Chiefs leaned on defense and special teams, including a pick 6 by Daniel Sorensen and a 102-yard kickoff return touchdown by Byron Pringle. In all, KC scored 43 points. Mahomes was on the field for 12 of those. The Chiefs improved to 6-1 with their win in Denver, but they're still looking up at the Steelers for the early race to the best record in the AFC. Pittsburgh is the only remaining unbeaten team in the NFL after the win over the Titans, and they're going to head to Baltimore for a huge AFC North matchup with the 5-1 Ravens in Week 8. Booger, no, it's only Week 7. We've got a long way to go. Now, you do not like to make predictions before Halloween.
Yes.
Just go out on a limb this time. Most complete team.
Pittsburgh. And I know people are going to be like, what about Mahomes? What about Lamar Jackson? Let's take a look at Pittsburgh offensively. They won yesterday, and the new star that we talked about, Chase Claypool, 1 catch, -2 yards. So they can do it offensively in a number of ways. Defensively, we know what that defense can do. Derrick Henry, see you later, buddy. They knocked Derrick Henry into whatever you want to call it, knocking out the run game. Special teams, Ray McLeod. Mike Tomlin talked about get him the football. You saw him with a couple big returns. So offensively, defensively, special teams, I think Pittsburgh is the best team. Now, that's not saying that Kansas City can't beat them, but do we really trust Kansas City's run defense in a real crunch time situations? Baltimore, do we trust Lamar if they're down 10, can Lamar bring them back? So the other teams are really good in the AFC. Kansas City's really good. Baltimore's really good. But do we trust pieces of those teams? I think Pittsburgh is the most complete team in the AFC right now.
Steve, most complete team?
Kansas City, no one's going to beat Kansas City unless Kansas City beats themselves. And that's already happened 6-1. The one game they got beat by the Raiders, they just played very poorly, 3 and out a bunch of times. Booger, I love the Steelers. I picked them as a Super Bowl winning team, but I don't believe in the end that Ben Roethlisberger can pick up all of those first downs that Patrick Mahomes under pressure. You saw that game last night with the 2 mobile quarterbacks. There's so many yards to get from a quarterback position that even 5 years ago wasn't the case. And to not have somebody that can go get those when it gets down to crunch time. I believe all of those stars that the Kansas City Chiefs roll out of that offensive huddle is going to make all the difference, and Mahomes is the difference because he can go get the yards from a quarterback perspective.
Well, right now, Pittsburgh is the last unbeaten team in all of football. And Kansas City has lost a game. If we look at Pittsburgh's schedule down the stretch, plays Baltimore twice. When we get past that, they play Cincinnati twice and Cleveland once. The non-division games left on the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule, the Dallas Cowboys, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Washington football team, the Buffalo Bills, and the Indianapolis Colts.
What are you saying there?
What I'm saying is it sets up for them to be in a position to be the number 1 seed. And if they're the number 1 seed, they are the only team in a new playoff format that gets a first-round bye. And if they don't get a first-round bye, they'll be a seed that's right on up there. Baltimore's got to go catch them starting this week, where Baltimore gets its first chance to play Pittsburgh in Baltimore this weekend.
Randy, let's say it's time for the AFC Championship game. It's tomorrow. It's the Steelers against the Chiefs. Who are you taking?
Well, just off the Steelers' performance, I have to go with Pittsburgh Steelers. The reason why is because of the front four and the havoc that they're able to cause. They're able to get after the quarterback. They're able to get back to the run game with 4 defensive linemen. So I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Boogie, you made a great point. They're hitting on all 3 cylinders. Yep. Special teams is what really people don't really put their finger on it because it's not really a big factor in the game. But when you have a team hitting on all 3 cylinders, after the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers because of their special teams.
And what did you tell me about who was going to replace Devin Bush last week?
Spillane.
Oh, Spillane.
Spillane played.
Did you see that?
Spillane played.
Hold on. Excuse me, Adam. Hey, Mr. Booger McFarland,
Yes.
you owe Mr. Spillane an apology.
Yes, listen, we didn't think Robert Spillane could do it, but hey, put me on a single here.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Robert Spillane, hey, I'm going to apologize to you. Yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers will miss some forms or fashion of Devin Bush's game, but my man, what a lick in the hole on Derrick Henry yesterday. My goodness. I mean, that was outstanding.
All right, then. Spillane, keep doing your thing, man. It's a fan over here.
Randy, you were on that.
All right.
All right, so we're talking about down the road, and we've mentioned that